It's nearly 5:30 on Saturday the 3rd of May. Yep, it's May already. It's a bit late in the day. We've popped down here since the sun came out. It was a nice sunny morning, and then it's been a bit grey and it's very windy. Probably see the wind moving those trees around there. So as I was just pointing the camera at, we have a bit of cardboard. I've picked up a bunch of stuff from the office, and we also have some from a neighbour. Some of it's got this coating on it, but the coating kind of pulls off, and I'm not terribly worried about it. This isn't going to go under veg beds. It's actually good for going down the end there under where the patio, as we're calling it, is going to be. So one of my first jobs today is to get this burning bin cut off its base. It's sort of falling apart, as you can see. So I'm going to just sort of angle grind just below that bottom ridge there and clean that up a bit. And Kat's going to get some cardboard and wood chip down here, I think. We're not doing the glazing on the greenhouse today. That's probably tomorrow's job. Tomorrow's the Sunday, of course, which is our usual main allotment day of the week. But it's a long weekend again. I just fished this chair out of the rubbish pile at the front. It's a bit mad. It's a really nice chair. I still have to remember how it works. Let me stop for a moment. Right, so yeah, that's what I was trying to do. It folds up flat, and it's got a pretty good steel frame, and it just folds down like that. And all it really needs doing is the wooden slats replaced, and it's a pretty sturdy little chair. It probably needs some tightening up in the bolts there, maybe, but or some new maybe some new bolts and screws here and there. But that's too good to let be thrown out, and if it stays down there, it would probably end up in the bonfire, and the farmer would set fire to it. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about at the back here, patio area. I'm quite happy to put the coloured cardboard down under the wood chip there. These strawberries are going mad. You can see lots of little strawberries forming down there. We don't really care for them properly, and they're a bit of a wild patch along here in amongst the weeds, and I can even see some bindweed down there. We're going to have to do something about that. But yeah, so it's just a little afternoon down here. I'm going to check the watering, get some more water into this bed, especially down the front where I put some mustard seeds in the other day, and probably just get the angle grinder out, like I said, to cut that, but also to start cleaning all of these up with a wire brush, ready for reuse to do our little raised beds that are going to be in this area here, as I've discussed before, and that will be combined with these treated wooden slats to be the edges. So they're just simple little cheap raised beds using some pretty cheap timber. Okay, well, we'll get the tools out and crack on with that now. Unfortunately, all these things in these pallet collar hinges are actual rivets, so every one has to be individually cut off with the angle grinder. But I'm nearly there. So about 5 more to go. Then I'm brushing them off with a steel brush on the angle grinder, and then we're going to put them into some rust dissolving solution. Just try and clean them up a bit before putting a coat of paint on them, so hopefully they'll have a good long life ahead of them. Right, so it's now 7:30 p.m. so we've had a couple of hours down here in the sun and the wind. Unfortunately, it's been a bit chilly, to be honest. So Kat has got a bit more ground covered with that cardboard and some wood chip, and there's more stashed in the shed, so we'll get more done tomorrow. I have cleaned up these, so they've all had their little rivets taken out, and they've been brushed with the angle grinder brush, and now I'm going to take them home to clean them up some more. So we have 6 sets of 4 there. One set's a slightly mismatched, and this is a totally odd one out that has no other friends that look like it, so I've rejected that one. It's off to the side. But I found a couple more down in the burning pile down the front. So that's good. We've got a fairly matched set now. Chop the bottom off that bin. So that bin will live to burn some things another day. I don't know what I'll do with the offcut there. That's trash, really. Cut it up and put it in the bin, really. And yeah, that's where we're at today. Tomorrow's Sunday, and we should be back down here again then. And the big thing to do tomorrow is to get this polytunnel, greenhouse, turned into an actual greenhouse with the glass and polycarbonate fitted. So that's tomorrow's big job. Okay. Home, and we're going to barbecue some chicken wings and smoke some vermiculite. Okay. Time to head off. Nice cup of hickory woodchip tea. I'm actually wetting them because then they'll smoulder better and make some smoke. Because what we're doing here is making some smoked vermiculite. I've made a little tray out of tin foil, poked some holes in the bottom, just in the case that sort of helps get a bit more smoke through the vermiculite maybe. But just being in the smoky environment should be good enough if I give it an occasional stir. So here's a little bit of vermiculite. Just going to go evenly into there. And that will go in the barbecue, which is a charcoal barbecue, and so that will just sit on the on the grill with the charcoal either side, like I'm indirect cooking it, which we'll be doing to our chicken wings afterwards. So that's our chicken wing dinner. But before we get to the chicken wings, we're going to smoke this vermiculite, and the reason we're doing that is to help germinate some Australian native plants, the main one being kangaroo paws. So we'll see how that goes. A little bit of something different. Some Aussie natives. Found some seed from a place called Jungle Seeds recently. But yeah, let's get this vermiculite on the barbie. So this is our smoking vermiculite. I've got the hickory on the coals there. And I've got the vents tightened down low, so it's gonna make more smoke and smoulder, so you can sort of see there's going a little bit of air, and there's vents on the bottom there as well, and I've got the bottom ones like these ones sort of restricting it. So that's the vermiculite in the Weber kettle smoking away. Give that about 15 minutes or so before we get on with dinner. And here we are an hour and a half later. I've kept that in the barbecue this whole time whilst dinner's cooking. The hood has been down most of the time. I'm just doing a final kind of hot fry up, keeping it open, getting a bit of char on things. But yeah, hopefully we've got enough smoky compounds into that vermiculite to make our kangaroo paw seeds happy. So it's the next day after smoking that vermiculite, and I'm going to get my kangaroo paw seeds sorted. First thing I'm going to do is I've got a mixture of the smoked vermiculite in here with a bit of charcoal, and I'm going to mix that with water and try to make a sort of a smoke water, which I'm then going to soak the seeds in until tomorrow. So 24 hours, maybe a bit less than that. And then I'm going to plant the seeds into little pots, and I'm going to sprinkle this vermiculite over the top of them, and hopefully that delivers them enough smoke to do the job. Aha! Aha! I found the right string to pull. That is like the first time I've ever succeeded in doing that. 100 litres of perlite. Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. Fire, burn and cauldron bubble. This is 6 of those pallet collar hinges in a 10% by weight citric acid solution, which is warm. It's about 50 degrees at the moment, but it was made up out of boiling kettle water. This is a 500 gram bag of citric acid, and that only costs £4.60 versus a litre of Evapo-Rust costing 18 quid. There are some other ingredients in Evapo-Rust, but apparently the main one is citric acid. So what I'm doing with these is I'm processing them through this citric acid solution, starting with the worst of them right now. And then when they're done, I'll give them at least, so I'll give each 6 a few hours in there, I think. And then the worst of them after that process will actually go in some Evapo-Rusts, just in case the extra ingredients in the proper solution do something a bit more. It doesn't matter too much, they're just edging corners for some raised beds, but I figured I may as well make them last as long as they can. And thus the citric acid bath. But they will do a thing in there, and then we'll put some rust inhibiting paint on them. And then we've got a bit of yellow paint we'll put over the top of that in spray cans. Thought I'd do a quick bit of a before and after video with this actually. So that first lot that was in there is now out, and you can see that mix is quite messy. I'm going to put the next 6 in there. So I'm going to put a mixture. I've done them sort of most rusty through to least rusty, and I'm going to put the most rusty ones in first. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of discoloration on that one. Same here. This one looks like it might have actually been through the fire. I'm not sure. And then this one here, and again you can see it's a fair bit of rust on there. And I'm just going to plunge all these into this citric acid solution. And what's that? We're up to 4 or 5. I'm doing 6 at a time basically. So I'll get them in there and we'll have a look at what they looked like. The ones you just saw going in before, and then after. And we'll see how we go. And if we look in there, you can see that there's some bubbles coming up as it starts to work on that rust. I'm not quite sure how many uses I'll get out of one batch. This is 3 litres at 10% by weight citric acid. So we'll see how effective. But yeah, you can see it actually bubbling up quite nicely there. Okay, so I'll make sure there's 6 in there, and we'll leave that for a couple of hours or so and look at them again later. Oh hi, this is Ivan barging in from Friday the 9th of May. I didn't really do very well with that whole before and after thing because I got sidetracked, as I always do. But here we are, several days later, and these have all been through that citric acid and been scrubbed with a metal scourer in the sink, and that's all. There's been no sort of grinder or anything on this, and it's only been the citric acid. I never did use the Evapo-Rust, and the result is really good. I'm quite impressed by that. These were all variously discoloured. And all the rustiness on the ends is gone. And if you have a look at this one down here, sorry about the banging and the crashing, that was the really rusty part of this one. And as you can see, that's pretty much just down to bare metal with the odd flake. And the flakes probably come off with the wire brush and the angle grinder, I guess. But I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, so that's just citric acid with a little bit of soap in it as well. I'm really impressed by that. Now my last lot, the rustiest ones from the video, were left in for too long on a second run, and we'll just cut to them in the sink. And these are these ones in the sink here. And what happened to them is they built up this kind of film, which I think I can get off with the wire brush on the angle grinder. So I'm going to give them an attack with the angle grinder tomorrow on Saturday. And then hopefully just paint them, but we'll see. So I think what's happened with this is the citric acid has reacted with the galvanizing the zinc surface, given it was in there for this was 2 days in the solution basically, And the solution now seems to be pretty much entirely neutralised. I haven't tested that with a pH meter. But yeah, so don't leave it in too long. 6 hours is plenty. A day is fine. 2 days is not so good. And we'll look at one more thing before I cut back to past me. The lighting here is pretty terrible because I'm pretty much going to be casting my own shadow over it if I'm not careful. But this is in the windowsill of our kitchen, and these are the Australian natives. We've got various things down there. I might go into more detail about them later, but the key one here is this kangaroo paw. So I put that smoked water soak. I soaked them in smoked water for a little while overnight, and then I poured that over the top, also with a little bit of ash, and that's the smoked vermiculite. We have yet to see any action in these Australian native seed pots here yet, so fingers crossed something happens there. These here are a Hottentot fig. I'm not quite sure where they're from, but they're a succulent, which is also edible. And there's my shadow, but we'll just have to live with that. And this here is Swan River Daisy from back home, and that is one of our Australian natives that is actually germinated, so that's quite exciting. But yeah, anyway, I shall cut back to past me now. Well, it is 5 p.m. nearly on Sunday, the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you, as the Star Wars nerds say. I'm not really one of them, but especially the new stuff. Anyway, we won't get into that. So Kat is going to sort through this ash. We have brought the old riddle soil sieve, the dirty old riddle, down here to do that, and it can live down here now because I've just got a new one, plus I've got another new one, so I've got 2 riddles at home. I am washing off some of this perspex and getting some of this new rubber strip up on the roof of the greenhouse, and that's today's job. We're quite late starting because it has not been a very inspiring day outside, between wind, on and off sun, and occasional showers. But things need doing. At least the sun's shining in my face right now, so that's okay. So we're going to see how we get with this greenhouse, how we get on with getting the glass onto it. And that's it. It won't be a very long day today. Maybe we'll do more tomorrow. But I have been not idle, or I have not been idle. All the houseplants are potted up, and a bunch of seeds have been handled and processed, and some other bits have been done at home. And Kat potted up the Hottentot figs, which are a little succulent. But yeah, anyway, I will leave it at that, and we'll come back to this video in a moment and see where we've got to. And that wind's just not nice. That's probably wreaking havoc on the sound. Okay. It's just gone past 8 p.m, so we've been down here 3 hours. I spent most of my time getting all these little rubber strips on for going behind the glass and the polycarbonate. We've got the polycarbonate up on this side. I'm not really happy with the stuff. It doesn't actually fit in properly. I think the greenhouse is originally designed for glass, and then this has been added at a later date, and then when we've had it sat around, it's warped a bit. Maybe when it gets hot, it'll sort of warp back a bit and fit in a bit better. But it also doesn't really fit into the little runners at the top. And then this stuff is quite thick compared to the glass, isn't fitting in properly there. So I'm thinking of replacing the panels below the windows with actual glass panels, which I can fit in there properly, and leaving the long bits as polycarbonate, because that's just easier. That whole back wall far from us is going to be poly, and then this wall right in front of us is going to be glass, I've decided. We've got, the original was a mixture, but I've got extra greenhouse glass from another greenhouse as well. And these ends all have some nice big polycarbonate sheets that fit into them. And in the end, we'll live with the warpedness of it all. And it will be fine. But yeah, so it's getting cold. It's not been a pleasant day here. It's not been the nicest. I'm using my less good phone / camera at the moment, and because I tried to do a time lapse with the other one and it ran out of battery, so I don't know if the time lapse is going to work. But yeah, it's just been really windy today, and I want to go home. So we have a conundrum with this roof, really. I don't like the polycarbonate, but the standard size glass panels we've got, which are annoyingly are in 2 thicknesses, I think it's the 2 different greenhouses we got them from, are just a bit short. And they normally need to be overlapped with little hooks on the glass, and even without that, straight into the sun there, you can see there's a gap at the top in there, I think. And the problem we've got is where that gap is, there's, sorry, just gonna get up on the pallets, there's this groove here that the glass slides into. Now the glass slides into that perfectly, but the polycarbonate is too thick. I'm ignoring the fact that it's also warped, but Kat has made the wise suggestion, maybe we should actually try buffing the edge off the edge called polycarbonate, then it might slide in. So I'm going to get the flappy disc on the angle grinder and have a go at buffing one of these edges down. Well, it is approaching 7 PM on Bank Holiday Monday, and we've been here nearly 2 hours longer than I really wanted to be here. It's been a pretty lackluster weekend. So, greenhouse progress. My hopes to have it finished this weekend are dashed. Just fettling this glass and polycarbonate and stuff has been a pain. So, this side is all up now. As per Kat's suggestion, it got ground on one edge to fit it in, and I also loosened up the bolts down this edge to expand it ever so slightly, and it's all in now. Not happy with this one. This one should have gone in around the other way. We're wondering if maybe the heat will make it drop down, but we'll see. And we're sort of experimenting with how to do the glass here, because I've got a few of these big square panels that are at the bottom, and lots of these normal size panels, and yeah, we're not quite sure what's going to be best for that yet. I'm going to try and minimize the amount of cutting I have to do, but yeah, it's a thing. It's greenhouse shaped, but it's going to be completed another weekend, and got good coverage down here. Did I already mention Kat has done a bunch of weeding down here? So getting this fence line clear. Only 4 more of those pallets to come out, and then we'll have a nice big expanse of space down here. And at home, the progress on cleaning those pallet collar corners, these things, has gone quite well. The citric acid has done wonders for de-rusting. So they just need a bit of paint, which is sort of an over the next week job. And then we can start building raised beds for this spot, as I've said, where I'm standing. And these planks, as I think I already covered as well. So yeah, so we can start getting these beds in. Then we just need something to fill them. The farmer is working out how to bag up his excess well-rotted horse manure at the moment. So we might be able to get some of that from our local farmer guy. And yeah, anyway, it's not been the best of weekends. It's a long weekend again. Now over, and I've got a big steak to cook at home, so I'm going to go do that. It's a pity the weather has actually got a bit better towards the end of the day. This wind has really been ripping through us, and that's the worst, really. But oh well. It's a nice end to the day. We will tackle this bastard and finish him off another day.